Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex, and today we're taking a look at Spidersaurs on the Nintendo Switch, a run-and-gun action game with 90s animation style. Gotta say, I was definitely intrigued, but is it worthy of a recommendation? Well, that is what I'm here to find out, so hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. Story then, and this unique Spidersaurs, and you guessed it, that is, spiders and dinosaurs combined, exist in this world, and they've escaped the facility where they were contained. Now you may be asking, why would someone cook up such a hybrid? And you can thank InGest Corp for that one. It was actually, though, for a good reason. They were designed to be harvested for the meat and the muscle as a solution to world hunger. On opening the game, though, we've arrived at this office, their headquarters. We were past taste testers, and now they are looking for exterminators from a batch of candidates. Let's just say a turn of events leads us to being the only two candidates available, and we are immediately hired. Congratulations. Now get ready to hunt as either Punk Victoria or police officer in training Adrian. It's absolutely fine for the genre, I actually quite enjoyed it. It lets wayforward flex their animation style, so that's definitely enough for me, honestly. In between levels, it will give you a smaller dash of context for the past events as well as those that are upcoming. Gameplay then, and what we have here is a run-and-gun arcade action game with a difficulty curve to match. It packs easy, medium and hard, known here as well done, medium and rare, but each will absolutely challenge. Each will basically change up though the dino frequency, their strength, and also the number of lives your character has. These lives, they each contain 3 hits each, and you can restore health with food related pickups. These lives, though, just so you know, you do at least get continues packed in here as well, so don't worry too much about the challenge. And overall, it is a punchy little game in runtime. It took me right around on my first run around 90 minutes, and from there you then open the option to dial up the difficulty or jump into the now unlocked arcade mode and speedrun modes. This game, though, then, it started as an Apple Arcade game, and that was honestly somewhat apparent. It's not really up to the usual wayforward standard where we are often so spoiled. It's not to say it's bad either, just if anything a little undercooked. The platforming itself is solid. The levels, they do pack a nice and often overwhelming variety of dino enemies, and the locations, they change frequently, providing more than enough challenge, but it just has so many unusual design quirks. Co-op, for example, that's local only, and you must always stick to the same part of the screen. If you fall off, that's going to be an insta-death, 1 life gone. Surely there's got to be a more forgiving way of handling this. Now that may not sound so bad, but it often actually plays into auto-scrolling vertical sections with fire and bullets everywhere, and it feels somewhat cheap. The same actually goes for single player as well, because you'll be scaling a platform or hanging from it. A bullet will hit you and basically away you go. Death, and you're loading back in. You will also notice you can't scroll backwards, and it's just a world of death pits that mark an instant death as well that can be particularly frustrating. The controls then, they work, but I would have preferred them to be a little more responsive and even quicker given the number of projectiles heading your way. Another unusual design decision as well when it comes to the controls, you will actually unlock new abilities with progression with each level, but these would have made more sense from the very beginning. A double jump, a grapple hook, a ground slam, and a dash. These are all available basically somewhere around the midway part of the game. I understand it's kind of a sense of progression here, yet it feels like you almost remove what is the quick pace of the action and that freedom to really get creative in battle. Again, look, this is not to say it's a bad game. You just may find yourself, like me, looking at this as for every good decision there seems to be a slightly more unusual one. The good, for example, are the weapon power-ups. Great fun, and while the characters don't differ in controls, they do have different weapons that behave in a different way. Some really unique fire types available that I was happy to experiment with. Then there's this cool ass drone as well of sorts that appears on occasion that you get to choose from. It's essentially a special move to clear out the screen and progress forward, my favourite being fireworks. Some of the boss encounters as well are great like great stuff, screen-filling Spidersaurs that have a huge variety in their attack patterns over the game's included 6 levels, and they really do dial up that difficulty in a meaningful way. This kind of leads into one of my bigger issues with the game though, which is it all takes kind of a lot of trial and error. There's very little in the way of guidance, like what the drone actually does, for example, or the damage being dealt on an opponent with the weapon in hand. Now I presume that with every pickup I'm dealing what would be more impact with that weapon, but honestly, it didn't always feel that way when I did compare. Then there is an issue, but they actually did communicate this with me, and the patch is already being put together for launch. The problem is though, it won't be ready for that launch day, so if you play on medium or hard and reach the final boss, do be aware you can run into a bug on occasion, not always as I say, but the screen can go black and cause a reload if you die. So yeah, that will be live soon, the patch, but they haven't quite unfortunately got it to that day one, as I say. For now though, you can either take the risk, know it may cause some frustration, or play on easy mode where there's no problems recorded. Still a bloody challenging game as well, honestly, so I wouldn't be too concerned with, you know, that battle ahead of you. Overall though, for gameplay, I think it gets some things right, but others it just misses the mark. It's not even bad again in design, just almost unusual in design, and some of the insta-deaths were particularly frustrating. It also honestly feels a little expensive given the amount of content and the fact it started as an Apple Arcade launch title, so that is now some years back. Graphically then is where this one really wins for me. The 90s styled cartoon looks absolutely appealing, and in motion it looks fantastic as well. I think it's a really nice style of animation. The two leads, they provide a nice visual variant on the mostly same control scheme outside of firepower, and they also then lean into the weirdness of the Spidersaur idea, and that's especially true in relation to the boss encounters. Very few issues with the graphics, honestly. I think we get a nice overall variety with a vibrant colour palette. If I could ask for more of anything, the opening cinematic is fantastic, but story beats between levels, they are dialogue boxes and mostly still character portraits. I'd love to see these get that same full treatment. Audio finally, it's fine. Weapons do a decent job of portraying some variety. The dinos, I wish they had a little more in the way of intimidation though. You know, that's mostly reserved for bullet fire here, and I do get that given the overwhelming amount of dinos on screen often. And then the dialogue, it is voice acted, so that's a nice touch, and it's in keeping with the overall comedic tone of the experience. The music then, it's fine, a different theme for each level. It won't reach the heights of some of the greats in the genre, but I do think it does enough at least to reinforce the game's overall theme. So the final verdict, and the graphics, the audio, the story, good stuff honestly. I enjoyed its more unusual idea, and it's always entertaining honestly, diving into at least what was for me a new IP. Sadly though, as I said before, the gameplay, it's just not up to the usual wayforward standard, a studio that has delivered now a huge amount of hits that I often praise and recommend near consistently here on the channel. Its fun weapons and enemy design, they're let down by what I would describe as moments of weak level design, cheap deaths, and a control scheme that locks away a large amount of the entertaining abilities simply to give a sense of progression, but really it's just kind of making you wait on areas that could have really actually improved the entire game. With a short runtime as well, it's $20 or your regional equivalent, which definitely feels a little steep. Overall, for me, it's an average 5 out of 10. For every good thing, there's a strange decision in the design that holds it back, as I've said multiple times. I would, however, love to see a follow-up to this one because it's a great concept that I feel, with the right touch at this point, it could be expanded on in all of the right ways. Will you be adding this one to the library then, or holding onto that cash? A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe, but join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.